thank you for yet again such a great welcome to the stage, and thank you audience for sticking around until the penultimate panel to hear more about tokenization. So earlier you heard more of a technical explanation, more about on-chain and chain specifics for tokenization, about global perspectives, and now we will dwell more into institutional adoption and also focus more on the local market here in Korea. And with me, we have Mr. Yongjae Lee, who is leading Mirae Assets, the first institutional tokenization platform in Korea, and also Dr. Alvin Chia, who is here to share his global perspective of working not only in Korea, but across the entire APAC market in this field. And in the beginning, I would just like to ask you guys to do a little bit of a self-introduction and maybe tell us how come you came to this conversation and why is tokenization relevant for you? And maybe we can start with Yongjae.
Hello, my name is Yongjae Lee. I'm a leading digital asset business in the Mirae Asset Securities for almost 4 or 5 years. And we are covering from the asset tokenization and stablecoin and crypto as well. We are pretty much interested in doing digital asset business in Korea. And I wrote 2 books in 2018 and 2019. It's named Next Money and Next Finance. And I'm trying to introduce the blockchain technology to every people and behind Ethereum and Bitcoin. And I want to analyze the blockchain phenomenon with the financial point of view. And I'm very excited to hear and share our company's knowledge and experience to all of you guys. And it's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Great. I think maybe we can also expect the 3rd book on tokenization in the future, maybe?
Maybe, yeah. Maybe Korean regulators permit me to write a book in real nature in this area. And
great. Dr. Chia?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Alvin, Head of Digital Assets Innovation for the APAC region at Northern Trust. For us, why we are here and discussing the topic of tokenization is simply because Northern Trust, as a global custodian bank, has invested in the blockchain technology for close to a decade now. So we started our conversation in 2015, challenging the boards to invest in either blockchain or cryptocurrencies. So then at that point, we make a decision to invest in blockchain technology and have then started growing and developing our infrastructure over the past 10 years and developed multiple use cases. The joke is that if we have invested then 10 years ago into crypto, we might have made the firm a lot more money. But then again, whatever has happened has happened. So now we have got a solid technology stack that we can leverage. We have launched tokenized carbon credit platform, that's one of them, and we have got tokenization capability for our clients. I think the panel today will be an opportunity for us to do a summary of what we have done so far and allow us to look forward. But before we get into the conversation, Northern Trust is a global custodian bank. We have 135 years of history, about $17 trillion in assets under custody. We have about $1 trillion of assets under management, and we are also a private bank wealth management business in the US primarily. So the viewpoint that we can take ranges from the institutional business all the way to family offices and the high net worths.
Great, yes. The market has changed quite a lot, right, in the past 10 years when you first got into the crypto. Right now, with tokenization, it's interesting because you can basically tokenize anything. And specifically here in Korea, I'd like to ask you, Mr. Lee, what is the best, actually, asset that should be or can be tokenized right now for this local market?
Yeah, theoretically, we can put any assets onto the blockchain, but it's some of better fits than any other assets, so it's important to figure out which asset to tokenize first. So we want to start with the stocks and bonds and funds, which is traditional financial products, because these have already big market, and we are well aware of the business process of these assets, and these assets make our core business stronger when we tokenize these assets. So we want to start with them, and yeah.
And why do financial companies actually look into that? Why are they interested?
Yeah, I think there are three reasons to tokenize the traditional financial products. First one is to fix some of the pain points of the financial products. It's like, for example, VC fund and hedge fund. Is have a limit. We can, yeah, yeah. These financial products have a limitation on the cash out, and it's open only to the limited investors only. So if we tokenize this, and we can solve the problem of that. And the second one is we can make existing financial products even better, even if these products have nothing too wrong with them. So we can. So if we tokenize these products, we can trade it. This product can be traded as faster and cheaper and more transparently. So that's why we tokenize the financial products.
And Dr. Chia, in your opinion, why?
Well, to build on Yongjae's point earlier, the reason why banks are looking at traditional financial products, to our defense, primarily is because our risk and compliance colleagues understand how this works. So I'm not telling them, we are going to jump into crypto in the first instance. Let's look at securities, something that we are familiar with. We can start with the most basic of them all, with bonds, for example, where there is a structured payment schedule, you know when to pay the dividends, you know how it's going to work. Everything is more predictable. So we hope that through tokenizing more traditional assets allows my colleagues in the risk and compliance team to be confident that this is not a novel technology that will be outdated in a few years. It is here to stay. It is valuable. And through that, we hope that once we have got a few things on chain, we can start to explore the rest. But an important point is also that the regulations in most of the market that we are in allows us to do traditional financial products first. But things have changed so much over the past few months. We are looking at increasingly new forms of assets, which we can discuss more later in this panel session.
Yes, sounds like you're completely aligned.
Yeah, one more thing to add is the third reason is it's about bringing the crypto generation into the traditional financial markets, because there are a lot of assets. Because unlike the older generation like me, the crypto generation put most of the wealth into the crypto assets, and they use the fiat money. They use the currency in the stable coins, and they use the DeFi service instead of banks. So with the blockchain industry, with the blockchain industry growth, so their wealth have grown fast. So we have to their asset and wealth to bring them into the financial market. If we cannot do this, it's a huge risk for traditional financial market, because traditional financial market will lose the growth momentum shortly. Yeah.
You mentioned this new generation, the current generation that is working on this. In your opinion, Dr. Chia, what do you think? Who is actually interested in tokenization right now, as an end user and also on the institutional side?
Well, starting from the institutional side, we have seen increased interest and momentum from institutions who are looking at diversifying their portfolios. So the launch of the crypto ETFs, for example, in Hong Kong last year has generated a lot of interest and momentum in the market. We have got, off the back of the launch, phone calls asking, should we be looking at some of this? They might not be the ones whom you would traditionally think that they'll be trading cryptocurrencies. They are the traditional fund houses, but diversifying a small portion of that into a asset class that is rapidly growing is something that they are willing to try. So I think on the institutional side, because of new products and services that we're seeing in the markets, they are increasingly pivoting and dedicating some parts of their portfolio for digital assets. But I think this is, in the near 3 to 5 years term, the nearer term, still going to be the main driving force behind the digital asset adoption from an institutional standpoint in APAC. So institutions will still be the one driving, but on the other hand, if you go into the other end of the spectrum with the family offices and high net worths, they are the one that will be paying attention to the novel asset classes that we are bringing onto the chain. So it could be tokenizing K-pop IP rights, art, and different things. And these are the ones, the type of assets where they will be interested. And we do believe that if we are able to unlock those assets on chain, we could see very interesting activities happening in the future.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about tokenizing K-pop assets today. Super interesting. And Mr. Lee, you actually enabled this to happen in Korea with your first institutional tokenization platform. You also worked with the Korean regulators, with KSD as well, to make that happen. Can you tell us more about how this came to fruition?
We are the first financial institution to make a tokenization platform in compliance with the Korean government guidelines, which based on the hyperledger Besu is the EVM compatible, so we can connect our platform to the Ethereum whenever we want to do. And there is an institution called KSD, is Korean Securities Depository. So their role is managing the total volume of stocks. So KSD worked with us to the security token testbed. It's a pilot project to mint and transfer and burning security token is in accordance with the whole stock life cycle. So this has given us an opportunity to have a leadership role in this tokenization space, because we were the first institution to complete the development in the finance tokenization platform.
This is amazing. And Dr. Chia, in your experience, you work with regulators in different countries, not only Korea, but you mentioned you work in Hong Kong, you work in Singapore, across different APAC regions. How do you see this collaboration on projects that are local, but also when countries want to collaborate with others, or when users in one country want to tokenize something somewhere else? Or how do companies also enter new markets in APAC?
Yeah, so if you think about the different markets in APAC, so I've got two counterparts in Northern Trust. One of them looks after the European market, and the other looks after the US market. And if you look at the other markets, they are fairly uniform. You know, in Europe, you have got MiCA governing most of the digital asset regulations, and US is almost one market that's ruled them all. For APAC, we have got a situation where markets are super fragmented, and across each of these jurisdictions, the policies might not be the same. So then what happened is, while there is a lot of momentum in Hong Kong, for example, the regulators currently do not allow secondary trading of digital assets. So there is still fairly limited liquidity in the market right now because secondary trading is not allowed. Well, I would say that is an issue that the Hong Kong regulators is working with. If I look back to my home market in Singapore, we are to a certain extent unable to achieve digital native issuance of securities. So I can't even do digital native primary issuance, but Hong Kong, for example, they can do that, but they can't do secondary trading. So each of this market have their own strengths and weaknesses currently. But for the market to really take off and for institutions to adopt digital assets for cross-border liquidity, we need to have some form of policy harmonization that happens that allows assets to travel.
Is it policy, or is there other way to incentivize or help companies and governments work together on making this less of an issue and more of a solution?
Well, if you think about it, right now there are a number of supranational organizations already working in this space. The likes of BIS, for example, has embarked on numerous pilot initiatives. Some of those we were involved in, and those are a good way to help us better understand how different financial institutions and regulators could work together to achieve cross-border interoperability. So policy is definitely one. Second is we have to get comfortable working with each other. We need to find a suitable model to allow us to do that. But the last point is that if you think about the market today, earlier on, Yongjae talked about them being on the EVM platform with Hyperledger. So we are also on Hyperledger Besu, but I can give you a personal experience of mine. So we are currently involved in Project Acacia, the digital asset project spearheaded by the Reserve Bank of Australia. And in that particular initiative, when we look at which blockchain should we be issuing digital currencies, the industry from bottom up recommended 4 different blockchain standards. So what that shows to us is that there is some differences in how we perceive the usage of chain. So not everyone is on Hyperledger. There will be R3, there will be others. And how do we kind of come to a consensus where this is the right chain to issue and work on is in itself a challenge. So even though technology is sound, but having all these assets being exchanged in a right way is a challenge that has yet to be cracked.
Yeah, absolutely. And just before finishing this, I would also like to ask, for Mirae assets, you've done a lot here. We heard about your incredible testbed, and you also talked about earlier when we talked, you said about the flywheel for stablecoins. So I'd like to ask you to share with your audience about your opinion about Korean pegged stablecoins. So yeah, there's been a lot of buzz, POCs, regulation still waiting. What is your opinion on that and work with?
I think these days 3 or 4 the draft bills of stable coins are emerging, I think, and no one knows which one is better. And people are talking about people are still debating in the KBW stable coin has a business potential. So we don't have any answer yet.
We will see in the future.
Yeah, we are seeing the future, but I think Korean government want and allow a financial institution to issue the KBW stable coin and distribute them and within their platform. So Korean government will initially support the KBW stablecoin business to save their monetary sovereignty. So I think there is opportunity I think there is a business opportunity for that point. So we will see and waiting for we will see and wait and identifying the business opportunities. I think there are a lot of companies to issue the KBW stablecoins out there. So there are 5 or 6 consortium is out there, and we will pick the best KBW stablecoin and distribute them into our trading platform to connect our RWA products.
We will see what future brings on that, but can you predict right now, just very quickly, both of you, in the next 2 years, what will we see in tokenization? What will be the biggest market or the biggest use case for tokenization in APAC and Korea, respectively?
Well, maybe I will start first. So 2 things that I would say. The first is we will see large-scale adoption of stablecoin. Given that we are a US bank, we have already seen state-issued stablecoin. We have seen numerous very credible private companies coming to issue stablecoin. With the right regulations in place, we believe that we'll see widespread adoption of the asset class, which is great because that would then allow us to trade in a much more efficient way. The next thing will be we will be expecting to see more usage of cross-border money. So one of the key use cases that we're all thinking about is how can we make cross-border fund transfer faster, cheaper, better. So in the near term, I expect that to happen. More money movement happening, more assets being traded. Overall, I think will be a great future.
How about in Korea? Cross-border as well or local use cases?
Yeah, we want to make a cross-border use cases, but I think it's not going to happen in the very next year. But I think
slowly but surely.
Yeah, slowly. But we will have a discussion on the launching the digital asset spot ETF, and this discussion will gain a momentum in next years, and under current regulation in Korea, the financial institution cannot invest in and hold the crypto assets. But considering to the global regulatory trends, our government may change their mind and then let us to buy and hold in crypto assets.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that the momentum will pick up. Events like this, an audience like this really helps move things forward. So thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. And let's see what the future brings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.